Hi, Martin Warwick here. I'm at the Small Cells World Summit 2014 in London's Docklands, and I'm talking with Stuart Carlaw, Chief Research Officer with ABI Research. What factors are driving demand for small cell technology in mobile networks right now?
When we look at the drivers for small cell adoption, and from the carrier perspective, it comes down to a really simple equation. People are using much more on their devices on a daily basis, and predominantly video. 79% of traffic from your mobile network is now going to be video based, and what we see now is carriers needing to find cost-effective ways of supporting that traffic moving forward, otherwise the business model completely collapses. Small cells, whether it be licensed in the form of kind of the traditional femtocell analogy, or carrier Wi-Fi, or even some of the new DAS illustrations, really point towards that being a cost-effective way of them supporting more capacity and being able to make their business model future-proof.
So are we seeing yet another example of technology convergence?
So this show actually provides an interesting conjuncture where we see the convergence of three major technologies: carrier Wi-Fi, small cells, licensed version, and also distributed antenna systems. We've seen solutions such as the stuff from Airvana with their one cell solution, which is really a combination of the best of the distributed antenna systems of the past and also the small cells of today, where you get low cost of ownership, low cost of rollout, and the same benefits of better service delivery. And at the same time, you see Wi-Fi improving in terms of it becoming more like a cellular technology with its Hotspot 2.0 and some of the recent initiatives there. So in effect, what we're seeing now is three different technological solutions and blends between all those three competing for the same part of the business model. And that provides an incredibly interesting time for innovation and also kind of more interest on supporting the carrier business model. Rather being pegged to a single technology, let's look at kind of what's best in the toolkit to support their ongoing business.
So that's what's driving the market at the moment and where the opportunities are. Let's look on the obverse of the coin. What do you think are the key challenges, the problems that are being faced by telcos as they begin to deploy and implement small cell solutions?
I think we can phrase the answer of this into two different distinct sections. So first of all, when you look at small cells, and we're talking about the licensed small cells now, the majority of the problem has been demonstrating a value-added service revenue stream. Without the revenue stream, they're seen very much as a cost center. So in effect, what you're looking at then is a network-centric approach to capacity and coverage being the primary goals. And what you don't get is the benefits of saying, but we can generate this amount of revenue from them. So that's one part of the equation. When we look at it in a practical sense of rolling out small cells, it really comes down to the age-old issues of finding the correct sites, finding backhaul, finding power, and actually finding kind of the legal measures in order to put these cells out there. We heard from a number of gentlemen in the conference yesterday that were saying that part of their problem actually is when you talk to a regulator and you want to license an outside site, they're asking the same sort of regulatory fees as they would do a macro site. So therefore the wider ecosystem is something that needs to come together to make it more fluid and more frictionless in approach to actually sending these products into market.
Now, do you think small cell technology is actually capable of delivering telco requirements now, as of this moment, or does the technology need more development?
There's always a requirement for more development. I think that's something that this industry I've learned over the last 15 years covering it has always changed. I wrote my first small cells report 10 years ago, and in those 10 years I hate to look back at that report and see kind of what the specifications we said were required then. So the easy answer is no, but I mean if we look at this in terms of what the carrier needs for the future, what they really need is a toolkit of different solutions in order to be able to go into any environment and provide the best possible coverage and capacity solution. So small cells will play a part in a limited number of those deployment scenarios if they carry on with the same technological development as we are today. I mean, there's needs for standardization, there's needs for simplification, so we see the operation of kind of this build, operate, transfer model becoming more applicable, where it de-risks and it takes away a lot of these questions from the carrier's kind of mind for deploying these things. But in essence, when we look at technological development, we see the blending of a number of these different technologies, as I alluded to in my previous question, that are going to become more to the front of the carrier business model, and they are the ones that are actually going to be the ones that succeed long term.
What role do you see for small cells beyond 4G and into future 5G networks?
That's a really interesting question, because we track 5G now already. We started looking at kind of the technical requirements. We think standards are going to be around 17, 18, with near-term deployments in 2020 to 2022. Now, there's two camps, and the market is pretty much split down the middle. One camp thinks that it's going to be a macro-first approach to this, and I think you'll see that from predominantly Asian vendors and also the Asian carriers. But there's a huge proportion of the more traditional, should we say, Western-centric carriers that are looking at a small cell first approach to 5G. But that will be the proving ground for rolling out technology on a new spectrum band, using completely new technology, massive MIMO, micro antennas, and all those sorts of different technologies. And actually it'll be easier to do that in small cells first, because you have the ability to run it as a completely separate network first and kind of test and debug, and then you'll apply that to the macro maybe 4 to 5 years after you roll out the small cells. I think it's too early to say whether it's going to be a small cell first approach yet, but it's definitely something that we're covering and watching, and we're interested to see which way the market leans.
Stuart Carlaw, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for your time.